And we're recording. Okay, hi everybody. We're chatting about some old while we're giving everybody a chance to sit to check in here. Both Amanda and I got a Facebook notification today of an event that we had like 5 years ago, which was for a Megadeth, the basis for Megadeth, and we had a Megadeth cover band come to Warwick's, and the guy played with them. So it was really fun. So we were just talking about that in the green room on
I
how
was
fun it
wondering what
is.
prompted that. Facebook. Okay,
Yeah, the story, yeah, because it popped up as a memory on Facebook.
that's
So, and
funny.
it was fun. Swear to God, you guys, pre 2020 feels like it was like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was only, 5 years ago. But it's like that seems so long ago.
Truly, was the band, the cover band, like, were they the most excited that the Megadeth guy was playing with them?
Like you could see them just like they were like little kids. Okay. They were just like just glee all over their faces. That to me of the whole thing was why doing the event for just that moment was so fun, because these guys were just beside themselves.
And they're a San Diego, right? They're a San Diego band. I mean
Yeah.
the cover band. Yeah.
Yeah. And they when they were with like, because Amanda set it all up, because Amanda was like, oh, and I was just like, you're on it. You go have fun, do that. Like she just said in the group, where she's like, that might have been her crowning moment at Warwick. And I think it kind of was. Because it was like, and even when it was like, I don't even think the cover band understood like what was happening. Like, why were they coming? Because we blocked off, you guys know the Warwicks, so we blocked off the gift side of the store. So we closed those doors. So they played actually out on the sidewalk towards the street. So as the line was coming in front of them to get to the signing line, I mean, so they were, I think they were a little confused. They're like, what is this? Who's coming? And I'm like, no, it's the guy. He's like Dave, whatever his name is from and so I'm not sure they even believed it was happening until it's like, here he comes. And then he's like, yeah, I'll play with you guys. And it's just like,
Well, this years and years ago, I hosted a Slash event at the Whiskey A Go Go here in LA, and he got up and played with like this band that was just kind of like there to have noise, and in the whiskey you don't want
right,
no noise in the whiskey,
right?
And I've never seen people, like, you could tell every single member was like, oh my God, Slash is on this stage with us. And like, it is, I look out for it now because it is one of my favorite things, is like music nerds getting to talk to their like heroes or play with their heroes. It's like, it's a delight.
It is delightful. It truly is. And like you said, Liz, in the chat, it's like, get your heavy metal books at Warwick's. My second favorite was when we had NoFX, the punk band, because they were.
I need every Fat Mike story that you have at some point. I'll buy you drinks and I want to hear all of them.
No, because he was sober at the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up in Bay Area punk, so Fat Mike, I have a lot of stories myself about.
You have your own stories to
swap.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really have that good of stories. He was delightful. He was.
Yeah, he is delightful. No. They're delightful. He's just a wild man.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was really, that was another one of those. It was, I think it was like people were like, as they were coming, they're like, they come into La Jolla, Warwick's a punk. What's happening?
Right. Imagine the customers in the store who didn't know what they really didn't know.
Could have been my favorite thing to put out in the front window, was the flyer for that.
Yes.
What's the flyer for that one? All right, we're here to talk about books, though. Another good week of stuff coming out this week, and lots of good reading. I'm sorry, I'm reading something that's not coming out till December. Actually, I'm sorry, Gabe's not here. It's one of his books. It's a book called Havoc. It's so up my alley.
Julie liked the book called Havoc. Oh, what a surprise.
Okay, you know what's funny though? Okay, two different people, Mona Awad and Jason Blitman, who wrote Bunny and
Fat Girl,
Rouge. So Bunny and Rouge, and then Jason Blitman, who runs a podcast called Gays Reading. They both differently recommended this book to me. And I'm like smirk on my face, like, oh, this is so up my alley. Anyways, it is bonkers. So I'll be talking about it. Trust me, I'll be talking about it later. But anyways, maybe next time Gabe's on, I'll let him know. All right, so it's gonna go Liz, Tom, Julia, and so Liz, take it away.
Okie dokie. It's always a challenge to find my screen.
I know. It's still me too.
Let's see. Nope.
Wrong one.
That was the wrong one. Let's see.
Yeah,
So
sometimes I have to close everything out so I don't like accidentally show.
yeah, it's a little bit sad that I can't find it because it's beautiful, but here we go. Here we go. We have James Baldwin. Get this away. So yeah, it's his 100th birthday was August 2nd. It's really just the publicity, the coverage is just continuing. So I had never read his first novel, which is Go Tell It on the Mountain, and it is so great. It's a total surprise to me. I don't know why I thought it was going to be this huge tome, but it's not. It's compact. So we have these new editions, Go Tell It on the Mountain, Giovanni's Room, and If Beale Street Could Talk, which I saw the movie adaptation. I think a lot of people did, and it was beautiful. I just love these repackages. They have new introductions. So for Go Tell It on the Mountain, the new introduction is by culture critic and author Roxane Gay, and her intro is just beautiful. And so, this novel is based in part on Baldwin's own childhood in Harlem. It's only 256 pages. It's really a compact coming of age story, and it chronicles one day in our main character's life. And that is John Grimes, who's turning 14. He's the stepson of an often cruel Pentecostal minister whose storefront church is where they spend so much of their time as a family. So Roxane Gay points out in her intro that this novel is really so compelling right from the get-go because John is in this constant state of vulnerability about his faith, about his family, about his sexuality, in the midst of this very harsh world, just looking for any signs of tenderness and acceptance. It's lyrical, it's direct, but it also has lots of rage in it, and very much so compassion. I thought the conversations between the family members, his older brother, they were just so contemporary. And I just think I highly recommend this book. So it's also the story, not just of John, but of the adults in his life and this reflection of the Great Migration, especially of the women. And how their dreams were deferred, how they were treated. So it's very much the beginning of what we came to know as writing that would really change American language and literature, and also in the way Americans understood themselves. So we have a podcast. The Baldwin 100 is a whole website. We've got a podcast, which was launched in the middle of July. It's hosted by Cree Miles. And it's got Kevin Young, just amazing contributors. And I highly encourage everybody to check out the podcast. And then this weekend on CBS Sunday Morning, Kevin Young, who is the director of Smithsonian's African American Museum of Culture and History, will be on, as will a curator from the Schoenberg Institute and another lead director for the Smithsonian Museum. So it's just going to keep on going. And if you haven't read James Baldwin before, these are beautiful new additions. So that's James Baldwin.
And even if you have read him before, can we take you off of screen share?
Yes. Rereading.
Exactly. Or those editions are so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So getting the new editions, it's just like, those are amazing.
Yeah. And there's a box set too. So we're hoping, obviously, I think they would make great gifts, all three.
Yeah, and for the holidays too.
Yeah, let me put my hat in the ring for Giovanni's Room as number one
Yeah.
in my estimation.
Yeah.
I haven't
Amazing.
read enough Baldwin. I need to read more Baldwin.
Yeah, that's why I love that it's been embraced in this huge way too, Liz, that the publisher like went all
Yeah.
out on us.
I mean, in his history, we know him as an expat, as a civil rights activist. I mean, it's just, you can go so deep with James Baldwin, his essays.
There's
Yeah,
a great
amazing.
YouTube video of him and Nikki Giovanni, their conversation, that I highly recommend
Yeah.
if you haven't watched.
Or there's one where he's on Johnny Carson. I mean, there's just
Any
can spend
conversation
days
with
and
James
days.
Baldwin, you just have to watch.
And he's
Because
smoking. And he's
he
always
always
smoking.
just like brings it.
Yep.
Oh, and in a way that is though he was never in your face. You know what I mean?
Well, he's such
Well,
an
except in a
intellectual.
way it was,
his
in a
words
way
were
it was
just-
in your face, but the
it
way
was-
he delivered it.
It was his delivery. His
Yeah.
delivery was never seemed like it was, but he was just like the words were just like he was bringing it.
Yeah. And he never, nothing ever stopped him from saying what he wanted to say. It didn't matter who he was talking to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's just always more to know and more to discover. with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Amazing human. Yep. All right, Tom, what do you have for us?
All right, I'm going to change it.
Hard to follow, James. I understand
Thank you. I'm going to change the tone. I'm going to go to summer reading, Warwick summer reading, Sherry LaPena. What have you done? This is the 8th of her books, the 8th bestseller. They're all immediate bestsellers from Pamela Dorman Books, one of the most reliable, of our imprints for the just really readable commercial fiction. And so most of her books have been set in suburbia, like she's the queen of like paranoid suburban stories. But this is a change of pace. This is set in rural Vermont. And so it's about a group of kids. So it's a very idyllic small town Vermont setting. But a young girl is found in the hayfield, basically vultures circling. And so you always want to know who done it, right? But she's twisted things. She's trying new things here because she's always playing with the form a little bit. And in this case, we get the narration by that girl. So she's observing what's happening and the many different suspects. So it's a classic crime novel from her, but with this new twist. And I think like there's a great Kirkus review that says, as much a commentary on how women's concerns and accusations are often dismissed as it is an intense crime story, LaPena's novel excavates the ways so-called responsible adults don't do enough, a crime in itself, to keep young women like Diana safe. How many ways, Diana asks after her death, can a girl be assaulted? The novel's emotional heft will linger with readers. So that's something a little bit extra, I feel like. So it's fast-paced. It's everything you expect from this kind of book, but with a little bit more depth, a little bit more substantial in a way, asking questions that aren't normally asked. So that's Sherry LaPena's What Have You Done?
I love that. I love it coming from
know.
yeah. There was another book and I can't remember that did that. And it's when it's done right, it's done really well.
You're right. And it's and I like authors she's a book a year author just about, but she's not just playing it safe every single time, which I admire.
I'll have to tell the story of who was it? John Sanford. I'll have to tell my John Sanford story sometime.
Yeah. Another one of our authors.
I'll have to tell that story sometime. Anywho.
Speaking of book or two a year.
Well, yeah, and some of the things he says at live events had me in the back of the room going, can't say that. Anyways. All right, Julia, what do you got?
Okay, I also am going to take a sharp turn into horror.
Oh God, he is so good.
So, yep. This is coming out tomorrow. Gabino Iglesias's new book, House of Bone and Rain. And this is his first book, which is The Devil Takes You Home, was a huge hit for us. Folks just absolutely love Gabino's writing. He's Argentinian American writer, so has like a really interesting sort of perspective on things. And what I love about this book, it feels like old school kind of Stephen King kind of horror, where you take sort of a real thing. So in this case, it's a hurricane that's happening in Puerto Rico, and the horror is laid in layers throughout this book. So it is a legit horror novel. And it also is sort of stacked on top of a weather cataclysmic event, which is this hurricane hits Puerto Rico. And as people are evacuating and dealing with the hurricane, there is a real horror that comes out to test them all. It is legit scary. I'm a total weenie when it comes to a book like this, so I have to read them in the morning. I can't read these books at night. But Gabino is the kind of author that if you're into horror, you're in great hands with him. He is going to take you for a real ride. So that comes out tomorrow, House of Bone and Rain by Gabino.
And even if you're not a horror, it was just like, it's not for the faint of heart. He is definitely not for the faint of heart, but so good. He's so good. I mean, he truly is a master in this. So his first book was just one of those, and I was just like, I mean, it's yeah. Anyways, but he's so good. Love it. Yeah. All right, Liz, what's next?
Okay, more right turns, because the next that I have is Boys of Riverside. So we've all been marveling at the Prowess.
I love this story.
Yes, it's such a great story, and that goes on sale tomorrow. I encourage everybody, even if you don't like reading sports books, this is just so much other than that. So yeah, watching the Olympics, obviously we're just, I'm in intense admiration of athletes. And this story, though, about this deaf football team in Riverside and what they were able to achieve is just outstanding. So inspiring. So in November of 2021, an obscure email from the California Department of Education landed in New York Times reporter Thomas Fuller's inbox. The football team at the California School for the Deaf, which is in Riverside, and is a state-run school with only 168 high school students, was having an undefeated season. After years of covering wildfires and traumatic events and war and the pandemic and mass shootings, Fuller was really captivated by this uplifting story about this deaf football team. So during the pandemic's gloom, it was a happy story, and he got so interested in it. And he drove 6-7 hours to the Riverside campus just in time to see the team trounce their opponent in the second game of the playoffs. So this is a story about the chemistry of this team, and definitely of their coach, who was a deaf former athlete himself, Keith Adams. It looks back at the historic 2021 and 2022 seasons. That's the lens that we are seeing profiles of these incredible people. The coach, a student who spent the majority of his season sleeping in his father's car parked in a Target lot, a fiercely committed player who literally played through a broken leg in order not to miss a crucial game. I mean, the determination is beyond. And then all these other heart-wrenching, uplifting stories of these players who had found this common purpose. And so this journalist, this tremendous writer, reveals high school athletics through this lens of deafness in America, and there's just so much to learn here. Also, word has it that the book is being adapted for TV with Tony Kotzer from the movie Coda. So I don't have much more than that, but the book's out tomorrow. There are going to be events and stories, and I'm sure it'll get a lot of publicity and attention.
Yeah, I think they did. Did they do a CBS Sunday morning thing on this coach?
Something like that, because I saw it too.
Yeah, it's amazing. This team, it's amazing. So this is incredible. It's an incredible story. So I love the sports stories that have the heart, and this one definitely has
Yeah,
it.
and I mean there aren't, I think about we had a novel, True Biz, about a deaf school. There aren't that many books about it. Certainly, I can't think of anything quite like this.
Yeah, and how successful they are. It's just
Mhm.
incredible. I love it. I love every minute of it. All right, Tom.
Okay, so my next book is The Bookshop, A History of the American Bookstore. I love books about books, but I'm also suspicious about books from, I mean, maybe they better be good. And this delivered, because I'm always, yes, I love the bookstore, and I'm sentimental, I'm emotional about bookstores, but I don't want that to be the entire book. And it's all there, it's in there, but it's a real, heavy, he did a ton of research, archival research, a lot of interviews with booksellers. So he takes us from Ben Franklin to Anne Patchett, and everything in between, including forgotten periods of that. I think they're forgotten. They were to me, that in the 30s, 40s, even into probably the 50s and the 60s, department stores were important booksellers. Like, they were the most important booksellers in many ways. Marshall Fields in Chicago especially was it really important. So there's a whole chapter about the woman at Marshall Fields who created the bookstore and all the crazy book events that they did, including one with an elephant in the store. And writers, the writers went to they were bookstores. And then he takes you through like the political bookstores, African American bookstores, gay and lesbian bookstores, all these different periods, and the ups and downs of the business. And in a way, you start to realize some of it, we've seen it all before. It feels so fresh, and yet these things have happened. Many of the similar things have happened before. And then the only thing missing, not the only thing missing, but a lot of contemporary booksellers are here, the people we know, except for Julie Slavinsky. I did not find you in this book.
What? Put that book away.
But that just goes to show you how important these spaces are, because I thought, oh my God, Julie's not in here. And you read, another person from a different part of the country reads it, they're going to say, well, where's so-and-so? They're not
right
there, because there are so many of these great spaces. We all feel loyal. We all feel, emotion, all these things. It's great. But not to worry, Anne Patchett is there. And it's the whole story of Parnassus. It's really, if you like books and you like bookstores, how could you resist? There's a great quote from Emma Straub. It's a delight to wander through the bookstores of American history in this warm, generous book. And then there's of course, the Strand is there, and Gotham Book Mart, which I never saw. That was before my time.
Yeah.
But the woman who ran Gotham Book Mart, when she ran it from like the 20s to the 60s, I think. And it was like a place where writers come and congregate in New York City. But this reminded me, this passage, this is a passage from the book which quotes her. Unlike some booksellers, Steloff never aspired to write the great American novel. She was content to remain merely a fan. She thought writers were the most wonderful people in the world and vowed to nurture them. She wrote to publishing executives telling them what, when, and how to publish. I never could understand why publishers behave the way they do. But you used to be different, she once admonished Random House's Bennett Cerf. I wish I had the time to make up a list of the sins of publishers. She closed the letter. Love as usual. So that, like I was saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. We all have sins of publishers that we'd like to let them know about. So really fun. That's The Bookshop, out tomorrow.
But I love all the history too. And like you said, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a bookstore or wherever you got your books as a kid and as
Yeah.
as an adult, it's like there's so much nostalgia in it, but so much history.
Exactly. Right.
And so Amanda,
you
go
can kind
ahead.
of tell the history of the country through the bookstores too.
Yeah,
Starting
and
with
the
Ben
evolution
Franklin.
of it. Yeah. Amanda
why-
reminded me when you talked about the elephant, we've actually hosted a cheetah. So
What?
just saying.
See? The stories.
That's the stories that we're talking about. Megadeth. Yes, we had from the San Diego Zoo. There was a cheetah. Amanda's putting the link in the Facebook post. Sitting on one of our tables in front of this sign.
Oh, that's
is a
amazing.
giant cheetah.
Jeez.
Now, I have to say, I was a total wimp, and I said, I ain't gonna be in the store that day because it was for kids, and it was this kids event because it was kids books.
Sounds dangerous to me.
Sounds sedated to
And
me.
there was like 100. No, she was. I don't know if it was a she or she. Ruxa and Ruda. I can't think of who Ruxa was the cheetah. But I'll never forget, we have an intern that works for us. So the cheetah, I have to just really quickly tell the story because it's hilarious. So the back of the store is in an alley. So the back of the store is an alley, and then they come through that way. So somebody was walking past the alley and saw a cheetah walking into Warwick's in the back way. And so she's our intern now, and she goes, Mom, a cheetah just went into Warwick's. And she's like, the mom looks at her and goes, okay, you're crazy. And sure. So they walk around the front of the store and look in the store, and sure enough, there's the cheetah sitting on this table. It was incredible. It was, yeah. So we've done some, it wasn't an elephant. I actually think there was an elephant that came down Girard one time, but I don't think it was from the bookstore. It was for a parade, I think. But anyways, fun stuff.
Yeah.
I really love that book though. Yeah. The things
That's
that
really
happen.
cool.
All right, Julia, what do you got?
Okay, I got a kind of a fun one. I got a cookbook called Plantas, Modern Vegan Recipes for Traditional Mexican Cooking by Alexis Soto. I don't know about you. I am a third generation Californian, so Mexican food means a hell of a lot to me. I admitted once to my Italian mother that the only food I actually could not live without is Mexican food, and I thought she was gonna maybe murder me.
Yeah, she might have just inherited you. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But I'm right. So this is, but I personally am a vegetarian, so sometimes Mexican food I can't eat everything. So what I love about this book is that it's totally vegan. So like for me, like I'm not totally vegan, so sometimes I do put in cheese or real sour cream or whatever when I'm working on this, but it's just like this gorgeous cookbook. It's got this pineapple habanero salsa I could eat on literally anything. I could just eat it.
Sounds delicious.
It's so good. But you got tamales elote, the sweet corn tamales. You've got like all sorts of great traditional Mexican dishes, but made in a vegan way, so that I think, you can include more people if you're having a dinner party or something like that, and someone has, doesn't eat meat. You can make some of these great, like this like oyster mushroom mole, black mole with oyster mushrooms kind of thing. So just great Mexican recipes. It's really fun to cook from. It's really easy to cook from. They're recipes that can be sort of like made to your taste, whatever it is. I've been having a really good time cooking from it. So it's out tomorrow. It's called Plantas. Again, this vegan Mexican cookbook. And it's really like, it's legit Mexican. So, I always love to cook. I do love to cook with mole, but in a Mexican restaurant, it's almost always chicken or pork. So, it means you get to like eat some of the stuff that maybe you didn't, if you're a vegetarian, you don't get to eat at normal places.
Right. And to make it in that, and for a vegetarian or a vegan, it takes some, you can't just take the chicken recipe and make it that way. You know what I mean? There are some things that you have to kind of tweak a little bit. But like you said, though, finding like the pineapple salsa, it's like sometimes just finding one good recipe out of a cookbook is like worth the whole book.
It's gorgeous. Like really, I'm, as you guys probably all know by now, I'm a huge cookbook fan, and I love kind of finding great cookbooks, and some cookbooks are easier to cook from than others. And this one is really usable and well done.
Yeah, I love it. So that's a good one.
My husband's vegan, and sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm the market for that book because Mexican food's my favorite cuisine. My husband's vegan. He does most of the cooking around here, and I'm on the hunt for a vegan cheese that can please me.
I mean, Godspeed.
Yeah.
I really, truly.
Truly.
Yeah.
Truly, that is one. But to find a good vegan, because that's a hard thing too. I mean, that are recipes that if you're not vegan, that your non-vegan spouse will enjoy as well.
Yeah.
Is I think something, you know. Okay, Tom, everybody in the chat's having way too much fun on the bookstore stories.
And the
Lori,
elephant, maybe?
not the elephant, but just the nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like Lori was in Chicago, the former the Macy's, which was former Marshall Field's. The basement still has a bookstore in it, which she was like super excited to see.
Ooh.
And then our beloved Beth, she used to give her dad a list of books that she would want. And on his way home from work, he worked at Dayton's, which bought Marshall Field's. He'd bring her home all her Black Stallion books and Sweet.
Yeah, of course,
Nancy
right.
Drew.
Yeah, like super nostalgic. So
when I first started as a rep, I was in Chicago and I did call on Marshall Fields and walk around their book department and do inventories. And it was still a very, very active, and it sounds like they'll sell books. So that's good.
Yeah, it's super cool. All right, we're ready for our lightning round. So Liz,
Okay,
take us away for that.
I surely will. Okay, we've got a novel, a special novel that is available now. This is The Lost Boy of Santa Chionia, set in a small southern Italy village, Calabria, in 1960. So one unidentified skeleton, 3 missing men, a village full of secrets is the premise for Juliet Graham's new novel. It's been called a superior literary mystery in glowing reviews. It was an Indie Next pick for July as well, and also a well-crafted mystery in a golden age style reminiscent of classics by Agatha Christie and Dorothy L. Sayers. So I dare say some of your customers can discover a new mystery writer. Our narrator here is Francesca. She's an idealistic 27-year-old American when she arrives in the isolated mountain village of Santa Chionia, tasked with opening a nursery school. There's no road, there's no doctor, no running water or electricity, and thanks to a recent flood that swept away the post office, there's no mail either. So totally isolated, totally cut off. But most troubling is the human skeleton that surfaces after the flood waters recede. Who is it? And why don't the police come and investigate? Francesca becomes an amateur detective, and when the local priest's housekeeper begs her to help her determine if the remains are those of her long missing son. As an outsider, she might be the only person who can uncover the truth, or she might be getting in over her head. She attempts to juggle a nosy landlady. I mean, there are the great cast of characters, a suspiciously dashing shepherd, and a network of local families bound together by this code of silence. She has to choose between truth and survival as she comes up against ancient tradition and one of the world's most ruthless crime syndicates. This is totally atmospheric, funny even, and moving. It's a puzzle mystery, and then with its setting and also the romance with the shepherd, and this portrait of a young woman in search of a meaningful life. It's just a great story, a perfect summer reading excursion. And the author is lauded, Ellery Queen Award winner, and also the editorial director of Soho Press, which is one of our distribution clients. I love the picture here of Juliet with a 97-year-old Maria who was from the town that she, set her mystery in and helped her do research. It's just a really great story.
I love the Ian Rankin quote too.
Yeah.
Shades of Ferrante.
Yeah, and he's not the only one to compare this to Elena Ferrante's writing. So
yeah, I had the pleasure of sitting next to her at the Winter Institute dinner. She's lovely. And this book is right up Warwick's customer alley. Yeah. It is, because it's got that literary thing. It is right up everybody's alley on that one.
Good.
I am so excited about this. That's that area is where my grandparents were born.
Really?
Yeah. So I literally just texted my mom while you were talking and I'm like, you got to go buy this book.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. Amazing. I can't wait to read it. This sounds amazing, Liz.
Oh, good.
So
And
that's
Julia's good. She wrote the 8 Deaths of Stella Fortuna, I think. Was her
7.
first
I
book.
think it's the
Or 7.
7.
oh yeah, right.
How many
7,
deaths
right?
were there?
Well, there's how many deaths? And it's like the husbands of Evelyn, but this is the Stella Fortuna one. So
Yeah.
but yeah, she's good. All right, Tom, what you got?
Okay, my next book is sometimes books come out quietly and then develop momentum. That's what's happening with this book. It's called Headshot by Rita Bullwinkle. I haven't talked about this book, but there's reason to talk about it now. And that's because it's been just longlisted for the Booker Prize, and it's on the Center for Fiction's list of best first novels. There is some kind of like quiet momentum happening, and it's a great book, so I want to revisit it. So Headshot is about teenage women boxers. They're boxing in Reno, Nevada at a place called Bob's Boxing Palace. And the book takes place over the course of one weekend, bout by bout. So each chapter is a bout. So you're following these, there's the young women, they're really like teenagers. Their stories, what brought them to this place, time and place where they're beating the hell out of each other. And then the actual physicality of the bout itself. And then you get glimpses of their futures. It's really brilliantly done. It's a thin, taut novel. She was Rita Bullwinkle is an editor at The Believer and at McSweeney's. And she was a athlete herself. And so she knows like that, the kinetic, the physical, all that, the physicality of all of that comes through in the prose. It's energetic, it's fresh, it's great. And so it's exciting to see the little book that could, the book that, we published quietly in March, got incredible reviews, but now the awards are starting to, the New York Times Book Review podcast devoted an entire episode. They do episodes where they do like a little book group where the editors, they all talk about the books, and it doesn't happen to very many books. And they did one on Headshot because they were all obsessed by it. So I have a feeling this is a book that's going to keep growing and then be on a lot of 10 best lists at the end of the year, especially the New York Times. So you heard it here first. If you haven't heard it before, now you've heard it here first on Tea Time. That is Headshot by Rita Bullwinkle.
And that's one I'm on a fiction panel for one of the California award things. We'll be talking about that later. There's a person that's read that on the committee that hasn't, like, they are all about it. They're all about that book. They're like, it's so good. So I don't know if Rita must live here in California.
She lives in the San Francisco area, I think. Yeah,
so she must live here. Yeah. Because you have to be the book has to have some California connection. Right. So she, anyways, everybody's obsessed with it on this committee.
It's cool. Yeah,
it is definitely.
And that's what publishing is all about. Like, yes, we have big books each week in and week out, but there are little books that keep readers keep reading, and that's the exciting part.
It is. All right, Julia, take us home. What are you going to end us with?
Okay, to be totally predictable, I have. Oh shoot! Wait, I lost my thing. Hang on. But I have to talk a little bit about the Olympics since they're still going.
I was hoping it was the Olympics.
I know. I was like, Julia,
and yes, I know, because I am who I am. So anyway, this is Total Olympics. This is from Workman Publishing. Every obscure, hilarious, dramatic, inspiring tale worth knowing. This came out in 2021, right around the Tokyo Games, but I assure you it is just as fun as when it came out the first time. Obviously, you have Michael Phelps, but Mark Spitz, Simone Biles. It talks about all the different sports and how they came to be, how they maybe stopped being an Olympic sport, or maybe it's got all these fun stories. I don't know about you, but like I don't know that I've cried so much as I have in the past week. Just like every time someone wins, I don't care. I just learned about this person 10 minutes ago and I'm weeping over their gold medal win. So if you are like me and are totally into it and excited about that, then this one is a great one for you. And I think just a fun one to kind of pop in and out of. I don't think
I
it's
was just
like
gonna say, it's just one of those like we just put it on the table and you pop in a story and pop, you know.
exactly. It's not like heavy literature or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's just a fun idea of a book. And I just think you know, sometimes particularly around the Olympics, you just gotta have fun because it is a fun
And
thing to do.
Workman doesn't, nobody, sorry everybody, but Workman does that pretty much the best. They really do those kind of books really well.
Yeah.
They're so much fun. And so there's something that's floating around because I've seen it twice now because I have to follow X, but like there's a film clip of what the Olympics looked like in 1908. And it's like the women archers in their long dresses, and all of it was in like the all of it was in just like a field track and field stadium. So even the gymnastics, you know, the men on the high bar was in the middle of the field. I mean, it's pretty fun to watch some of the old stuff too.
And those old gymnastics routines where they just kind of like do a couple of flips and like that's it. And
That's
like,
it.
and now you're watching Simone Biles like launch herself 12 feet in the air and like do 8,000 spins. Yeah.
Like higher than our ceilings. I mean, it's just crazy.
It's crazy. I know. So I do love watching those old sort of Olympics, but also I don't know if anyone is into women's basketball, but the US women's basketball team is now 56 or 57 straight wins at the Olympics. They have not lost a basketball game since 1992 at the Olympics. So so those are some fun little stats that I think, you know, I'm a big stats person. I love a stat.
I do too. That's incredible.
Isn't that amazing?
Like the American that won the bronze in the 10,000 meter race. I mean, that had these third person. So like you said, I mean, every single event seems to have something. When Scotty Scheffler, I mean, crying on, I mean, here's like the world's best golfer bawling on the on the stage, you know, getting his gold medal. And I guess there was a thing that showed like kind of like when you're in school, like, you know, what's your name, what's your nickname, what do you want to do in Paris, you know, what about the Olympics? And so all the golfers had put, you know, want to win the gold, you know, about the Olympics. And Scotty Scheffler puts, I want to have fun. And it's just like, just shows that it's like, this is so much more. The Olympics are amazing.
So anyway, that's my just little fun one for the week. And I hope people are enjoying the Olympics as much as I am.
So me too.
They're a really good time, and there's some good fun stuff coming up this week. So
yeah, it's really good. That's what I was just saying. It was like seemed like there were so many big things with the gymnastics and the swimming and everything, but it's like we still have a whole week of like all the track and field stuff and everything, and all the other sports coming.
The rhythmic gymnastics is coming. Synchronized swimming.
The synchronized swimming.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It was very funny to watch Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg with the horse dancing.
Are they the best?
Did you guys see? There was a guy on Twitter that said his mom called him and told him how much she enjoyed Snoop Dogg at the Olympics, and he said to her, do you remember that you grounded me for buying Snoop Dogg's album? And then Snoop he responded to this. It's funny. You get a chance to look it up. It's so funny. And it as a person who I didn't get grounded for owning Snoop Dogg's album, but I remember listening to it and my mom coming in and being like, what are you listening to? When I was a kid, because that album came out when I was about 11. So watching Snoop Dogg and Flava Flav be the
spokespeople for the Olympics.
Of the Olympics is like,
yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah, it's an exennial dream come true.
It is so amazing of all of the like crazy stuff that's going on, and these two are the like face of the Olympics. Love it. Have you seen the Snoop Dogg pin?
No.
Oh, he's blowing
I did.
the Olympic rings.
That's fantastic.
It's like, I want one so bad. I want that so bad. So it's just,
I'm sure it will be for sale.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's $1 billion.
It's already on
Sure.
sale, I'm
'Cause
sure,
I think it's
somewhere.
the pins that they buy and they trade over there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I saw that and I thought I was gonna die. I was like, that is so classic. Anyways, too much fun. Too many good books. This is another great, like, so different books.
Good
I love it.
range.
Yeah, what a range. This was really fun. I don't know what's going on this week. What do I have happening? Anything that I should tell you? We got great events at the store. So if you're in San Diego, come see us. I don't have anything virtual this week, but we got some virtual stuff coming up next week. So anyways, happy reading, everybody. See you
Thank
next week.
Yeah.
Bye.